You know, Joshua, one of the things that I think is important that we discuss in this unit on the expressive culture of Native peoples of Oklahoma is that, you know, many people are well versed in the performative arts, dancing, music, Native American fine art traditions. We'll visit about all of these in more detail. But I think one aspect of the expressive culture of Native peoples are the literary traditions. I think that people are probably less aware of the incredible depth and richness that comes out of those forms.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Even as we've been teaching it here for a long time, we'll hear from Alan Veely soon, who will tell us about what we think is maybe the first college course on American Indian literature. I still oftentimes find most of my students come in and they don't know that Indians write. A lot of our Indians don't know about Indians writing. I remember when I first found Sherman Alexie, it was, you know, a real turning point for me. It kind of opened my eyes to all the wonderful things that I'd been experiencing from other cultures writing. So it was a fantastic moment, I think, and I hope that we can maybe provide a moment like that to people out there too. As it turns out, Oklahoma is in many ways kind of a cradle for American Indian writing, even though it wasn't necessarily the birthplace, and it's maybe a weird cradle because a lot of people kind of depart from it in some ways. This is the home to a lot of literature. Going back to the first American Indian novel, the guy who wrote it, John Rollin Ridge, was from Cherokee country. He wrote it out in California amongst the kind of 49ers, you know. But for a very long time now, American Indians have been producing literature out of here. Will Rogers is a standout case. You know, this guy is perhaps the most prolific of American Indian writers. You know, his weekly articles and his books and his daily telegrams. You know, he was kind of a literary superstar. He may have been passed recently by Robert Connelly, another Cherokee historical fiction writer. I heard a story that Bob Connelly told about how he stacked up his books next to the books that he had of Rogers, and he had just edged him out. So, you know, this is in addition to, you know, fantastic poetry by folks like Joy Harjo, you know, a Creek poet and jazz musician. And that's one of the things too that we'll be able to do in this unit is talk not just about literature, which I could go on about at some length, you might have gathered, right? But we'll get to talk about fantastic music, music like Joy Harjo's jazz that maybe in some ways grew out of some early stomp dance styles of music. We'll talk about contemporary powwow singing and the changes that are happening there. We'll get to talk about indie folk rock. You know, there's just sort of no end to it. We'll get to do the same thing with dance, right? We'll get to do the same thing with film. And we'll get to do a little with art, which maybe you can lead us through a little better than me.
Absolutely. I think that again, this speaks to the fact that Native peoples are engaged in virtually every genre of expressive culture that's out there, and not just in their own sort of domain, but impacting mainstream media and literature and film in really significant ways.
Yeah. Rogers, again, of course, is another guy who stands out in this way. You know, he was a real superstar early on, did several films with folks like John Ford. You know, he, in many ways, kind of set a pattern for American Indian film to come. And by the time we're all done here, I think we'll wrap up with one of our newest filmmakers' pieces. And we'll look at something by Sterling Harjo, and we'll see, again, how it is that American Indians are living in a very vibrant place, and they're giving vibrant expression to the richness of their cultures and their lives here.
Absolutely. It's a great part of the story, and one that I think people are really going to enjoy.
Yeah, this should be a lot of fun.